We're back with a review of Queen Sugar, Season 1, Episode 6, as promised. And we see in this episode a lot of things come due as promised. And some things, I think, rocks Charlie's world. Now, I feel as though I am not quite channeling my inner Aunt Vi, because Lord knows that piece she had on this episode was fabulous, honey. I actually do have a unit that looks just like that, but for some reason I can't find it. As you all know, I suffer from a wig addiction. I have moved from shoes to wigs, so I just love the versatility of them. Honey, this episode had me thinking about all kinds of songs, from Mary J. Blige's I'm Not Gonna Cry to Neo's Monster, to Kanye's Monster. So let's go ahead and talk about Nova. At the beginning of this episode, we open with Nova being interviewed on a morning talk show to talk about her article, Colorline. But of course, as always, because people know who she is, instead of trying to talk about the subject matter at hand, these fools want a soundbite. Even though this is a very serious matter, they know that she is Charlie's sister. And we all know who Charlie Bordelon is married to, and that is Davis West, who is now in a public relations nightmare as he is now an accused rapist. Reagan Gomez. I love Reagan Gomez. She is back on TV. People are calling into this radio show to talk about it. And Reagan Gomez's character, I think her name is Chantal or Chantal, is there also. And despite her and even Nova's efforts to keep them on subject, people are still calling them. Did your sister always know that your husband was buying hoes? And I'm just like, that's not even what this conversation is about. And so, they make a big deal about it, a joke about it. Well, Aunt Vi is at home listening to the conversation on the radio. Charlie comes in and Nova lets go and lets have during this conversation on the radio, and Charlie gets upset because here's what Nova said. She said, why are the people who always come forward about rape always the ones to blame? Those essentially were her words. What Charlie heard was, my brother-in-law's accuser is not lying because he is a rapist. That's what Charlie heard. And essentially that's what one of the people that commented on my tweet, when I was talking about that, is the fact that Charlie only heard what she wanted to. Shout out to Lynell Williams on Twitter. So she heard that. She was like, did I just hear her call my husband's accuser a damn victim? And Vi was like, sugar, that's you know what, that's not what she said. But okay, that's what you heard. I sense that there is going to be a love connection between Nova and Chantal, because they exchanged phone numbers, and she was like, you gonna call me? She gave her a necklace. You just met this woman, but Chantal handing out little gifts and stuff. I said, oh. But we all found out last episode that Miss Nova is sexually fluid. It's about the package, not necessarily what is in the package once you unwrap it. Either way, Charlie's now mad at Nova. And then she goes off into this tirade with Aunt Vi, because Aunt Vi's trying to be the voice of reason and keep her calm. She's like, I've got all these things to do. The kitchen needs a cleaning. The kids need clothes. The clothes need amended. And we need a farm manager. I was like, girl, you need to just sit down and take a breath. Girl, go do some yoga or something. Vi's like, okay, I get, we need to get everything together. Prosper's coming over. I'm going to cook this fabulous dinner. Everything's going to be great because it's going to be tasty. And my cooking will soothe the savages. Okay, there we go. Ralph Angel. I guess it must be Sunday, because that's when Aunt Vi had extended an invitation to Charlie to come to church with her and Blue. When she goes to pick up Blue, Aunt Vi is noticing things about Ralph Angel. Ralph Angel now has a new phone. He got a little extra money. Boy, you ain't fooling nobody. Who you stole this money from? Because let's not forget that Ralph Angel mobbed up in the damn store and stole some money in broad daylight from some chick I think he knew. That's why I'm like, because we ain't heard nothing about that storyline since then. And so, anyway, Aunt Vi like, where you get all this extra money? So needless to say, she takes Blue to church with her. And so Ralph Angel returns to work. And that's when shady Melvin rolls up on him and still trying to bully him into doing the wrong thing. And Ralph Angel was like, I'm not going to do that. And he's like, well, we going to come up on that farm and we going to stash some stuff. And I'm just like, dude, how you just going to move in on his property? You know, if only Ralph Angel hadn't been so geeked and excited about the prospect of running his daddy's farm and his daddy's honor. I get that. But you got to realize that you are working around people that have done time who are, some of them are just outright criminals, okay? Or they develop that criminal mentality, which is a way for them to survive while in prison. Plus, like Karl Lagerfeld told Kim Kardashian, lying ass, you can't flaunt your wealth and not expect others to want to share in it. And that's essentially what Shady Melvin is doing, because he knows you have a farm. He knows you blew $15,000. So he knows that he might be able to get over on you. Okay. But Ralph Angel tells him he's not interested in doing it. And basically, you know, Melvin is like, you in the game and you gonna stash this stuff. It's not a question, because this is an offer you cannot refuse. Okay. Charles and Remy. Remy comes over to tell her that I've got good news, bad news. Bad news is basically that if we're going to get seed cane, we're going to have to order it from out of state because the state of Louisiana is completely sold out. Then he tells her that, turns out, because we learned that Remy is the ultimate hustler. Remy has basically genetically engineered a new form of seed cane that's sweeter and it's going to be better, top of the line. And so Charlie's like, well, you did that? Yes, Charlie, just because he lives in Louisiana does not make him any less intelligent, okay? No, I'm just playing, because she knows he's a professor and an engineer and a barber and everything else. So she says, well, how much is this going to cost? Because, you know, you just told me that a lot of people have not taken a chance on this seed cane that you're producing. So what's your price? And he says, it's free. She was like, free? Oh, okay. I was thinking that Remy was trying to give her a heads up and let him know not only is my seed cane free, my love for you is free, girl. Nova is going to her car. She receives a call from Too Sweet, and this right here was a poignant moment in the story that also kind of brought me to tears. Because Too Sweet is at a point to where he feels like, I need to give up and just die because I'm going to die here. And as I spoke about in the previous video, is that in most jurisdictions, a right to a speedy trial calculates into essentially 180 days, if I'm remembering my criminal procedure right. Basically, you know, you get a preliminary hearing, you get arraigned, preliminary hearing, any other pretrial motions if it's not settled in before or after the prelims. And you go to trial, and there's, before that, there's actually all kinds of motions of suppression. You have to do voir dire, which is jury selection, or voir dire, as they probably say in Louisiana, although it is Napoleonic Code, so I don't know what they might refer to it as in Louisiana. But either way, the other problem is that Louisiana has a backlog. They don't even have enough public defenders. And part of the reason why, as I was trying to say or articulate in my previous video, part of the reason why they probably don't is because people who work as public servants don't get paid a lot of money. And it takes somebody who really is interested in doing the work and finding it rewarding and not burning out by being overwhelmed with more work than they make for money. And so I think that's part of the problem that's going on in Louisiana. And another thing is that they're really hoping that they can just wait him out and force him into a plea deal, which is not unheard of. And I can tell you, I have many, many stories of hearing about people being forced into plea deals. And I'm going to tell you right now, that's just, you have a constitutional right to a trial, even if you have to wait a few months or years. But either way, that's what's going on with Too Sweet. He's on a wait list for a public defender. He can't get out for bail because bail is still not affordable enough. And I spoke about this one. I think it was Khalif Browder, 16 years old, did time at Rikers Island. Jay-Z's about to do a movie about him. You know, it seems to be the same case. There's a parallel here with with art imitating life. As the camera pans out from the scene after having this conversation with Too Sweet, you can tell that Nova is thinking of a master plan and will get Too Sweet out by any means necessary. And of course, later on in this episode, we see that she executes that after a conversation with her brother-in-law. Well, it's dinner time with Mr. Prosper. We're going to try this one more again, Charlie, and I need for you to get it right. Remy comes over for dinner. He's got flowers for Aunt Vi. He's such the perfect gentleman, and he's on time, honey. So he basically arrives early to coach Charlie. He has to tell her all these little ticks and quivers not to do while talking to Prosper, because Prosper is like this old school, like, you look me in your eye, you don't be on the phone. So he's like, no iPhone 40, don't let your head drop no more than a 45-degree angle. It's like, dang, it's technical like that when talking to Prosper. So it's dinner time, so everyone comes home. You know, Ralph Angel is there, Remy's there. Oh, but then Nova comes in, and that's when the fight breaks out, and that's when the rest of the people have to start drinking. When Nova comes in, Charlie's ready to go to battle. She confronts him. How you gonna call my husband's accuser a victim? She ain't no victim. If she was a victim, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, you need to calm the hell down. And so then Nova was like, oh, so now all of a sudden you believe in your husband? Girl, he been lying to you since day one. And I was like, oh, shit. And she was like, well, if he lying, why is it that this heifer want $3 million? And then that's when Vi was like, oh shit, everybody start drinking till this gets funny, because that's an expensive piece of ass. Because while they were fighting in the kitchen, you know, Vi and Remy and Ralph Angel were all outside. She was like, okay, everybody start drinking. We need to start drinking right now, because this shit, everybody, let's get the vodka. Everybody hit the vodka, okay? So while they all fighting and doing battle right there at the dinner table, in walks Pops. I was like, ooh, child, hush, Mr. Prosper. He gonna turn around and walk out. He don't do no mess now. Again, we know Charlie only heard what she wanted. Y'all know Nova didn't say nothing about who the victim was, that her brother-in-law's victim was lying. She didn't say nothing. But it is true. That's why a lot of women don't come forward, is because they're always blamed for their own rape. You had a hand in your rape, or there's no way anyone raped you. You were asking to be raped. That's the number one problem, and that's the problem why a lot of people are like, even in the Cosby case, which for a lot of us is conflicting because he was America's dad. And just to plug this in right here, today I read an article on Birth of a Nation, and I think I've even said it in some ways, but essentially the problem that we all have is that there is an expectancy of the people that we see in Hollywood to be these perfect beings, these perfect people, and they're not. And sometimes what they would like for their lives to be is what we see translated in their art, even though that's not who they really are. And that's kind of what the Cosby Show gave us. I mean, and that's why I said it's so hard with Bill Cosby, because had it not been for him, a lot of us probably wouldn't have gone to college. A lot of us probably wouldn't have pursued certain careers. I personally had always wanted to be a lawyer, so that you know, Claire Huxtable was it for me. But okay. Anyway, back to the story at hand. First of all, Prosper approves of Aunt Vi's good cooking. Amen. Now, I was confused as to when they were talking about somebody that had passed away. Was it Remy's wife that had passed away, or was it Prosper's wife? Because Remy made the comment, there was a lot of takeout and frozen meals, and Charlie had this look of concern on her face, like she was totally like devastated by hearing this news. So maybe it was Remy's wife. I don't know. Comment down below. Let me know what you think they meant when they said that statement. So I like Mr. Prosper. He breaks it down to them. He tells them, he says, it's my understanding that you only want to do one harvest and that be that and sell the farm. And if that's your attitude, then that's going to be my attitude too. As farm manager, I'm willing to do it as long as you give me a regular salary and 10% cut of the profits. I will not steer you wrong. It's going to take a lot of hard work. And if you guys would just work together just like your father wanted you to, it can be done. If you notice throughout this episode, anytime the selling of the farm comes up, Ralph Angel is the only child that says he doesn't want that to happen. And we all know why. Because he wants to really honor his father's legacy. He was the child that was on the ground with his daddy all the time anyway. So who would know better that Mr. Ernest wanted the kids to run the farm together, because he knew there was a divide between them. They'd all blew like petals on the wind, basically. So deal is sealed with a taste of unvised pie and a handshake from Charlie. Okay. Oh, here we go. Planting day. Mr. Prosper getting everybody information, and even Miss Charlie is out there getting her hands dirty. Okay, she got that green thumb working. However, we do notice that apparently Ralph Angel is hiding something. So here's what makes Ralph Angel look suspicious and guilty and arouses the suspicions especially of Aunt Vi. Aunt Vi standing in the doorway looking, talking about, there ain't never been a lock on the shed before. What's going on, Ralph Angel? Because Ralph Angel has to go back to the shed because Remy wanted some additional tools to take out to the fields. And so Ralph Angel was like, oh, let me go get it. I got to unlock the shed. As if he couldn't have given the key to Remy and let him just go unlock it and get it, and everybody move forward. But whatever, fine, go get it. And then we discover in the shed he has it covered up under this tarp, the merchandise that he took from the warehouse to fence for Shady Melvin. Now they out there working. Mr. Prosper calls lunchtime. On the way back to the house for lunch, Charlie discloses to Remy that she has to leave and go down to Houston. Her son and her husband are coming in, and Remy's like, oh, he's talking about, I really was surprised that you would come out here considering this lifestyle that you lead. In addition to this, the conversations between Ralph Angel and Nova are highlighted here as well. We learn that Ralph Angel only has a little over a year of parole left, and then he'll be free. And he discusses the fact that he has to take a parenting class, that he needs for Charlie to specifically sign his, basically his parole papers, so that he can show that he's getting paid from the farm as well for the benefit of his parole officer. And Nova's like, I can sign. And he was like, girl, I'm trying to get paid. Which I had already suggested that. I said, I don't think that it should be necessary for Ralph Angel to go out and have to beg for a job when essentially you can just put him up on a 1099 or W-2 under the family business. I mean, it's that plain and simple. Nova tries to complain about how Charlie is reacting, and Ralph Angel is the voice of reason and words of wisdom. He tells her, cut her a little bit of slack, because imagine what it would be like to have your life splashed across the pages for all the world to see. So just give her a moment. Davis and Micah arrive. Vi is excited to see Micah, but she is not excited to see that dark shadow, Davis West. I asked, could you go see when they coming from the field? I told you they would be here. Here they come now. And then Micah and Davis were looking like Charlie was out there, Mama was out there. Oh, hell. Things in the game done changed. There's an awkward moment of introductions. You can tell that Micah is happy to see Remy. He says, hey, Mr. New. He's like, no, just call me Remy, son. Just call me Remy. Davis is standing there looking like, he about to pee on himself because he's so shamefaced. He should be. You've embarrassed your wife on video carrying some thought all up and down through the hotel room like y'all about to have a good time. Team good time. Yay. Well, then there's a moment with brother and sister-in-law on the front porch. Davis lets Nova know that he read her article and he feels a kindred spirit with Too Sweet. And Nova's like, oh, really? Because, you know, you came here on a private jet. He was like, well, that's because the paparazzi. She said, you got a lawyer? You got a car waiting here? And you want to try to compare your life to Too Sweet. Too Sweet doesn't even have a lawyer, nor does he have means of getting out on bail. You want to say your life is similar? I don't think so. She tells Davis, the system does not treat all black men alike. You have money. Too Sweet doesn't. You tried it. Goodbye. And so, unfortunately, because of this conversation, I think that's when Nova makes a decision, while is honorable, but probably not a good idea. And so then she decides that she's going to wire money from the family farm account to the bail bondsman to get Too Sweet about that hellhole. Okay? And all I could think was, that's called commingling, Nova. It's not right. Unless you're going to hire Too Sweet to come down here and work on the farm, then maybe you can say it's a business expense and that he'll work it off. I don't know. Either way, we would hate for someone to sue you or come after you, because then they're going to come after your family's assets too. That's why you, in your personal assets, weed money and all. We see next week in the previews for after this episode is that apparently there was an overdraft, because once again Nova and Charlie then got into it again, and Charlie tells her, you can't just be stealing from the family account. There was $100,000 in this account. But either way, Too Sweet is going to come home. Poor Ralph Angel. Ralph Angel ends up getting into it with Shady Melvin. Shady Melvin is stalking him on shifts because apparently Ralph Angel changed his shift just to avoid Melvin. He was like, I see you change your shift. That's fine by me. Because basically, I'm like, does Melvin live at the warehouse? I mean, what is going on? They get into it. Shady Melvin calls in his crew when they get into it. So instead of fighting one-on-one, he has these two white dudes run in and hold Ralph Angel up and beat the dog shit out of him. Okay, I was like, no, just don't hit his face. Just don't hit his face. All that beautiful chocolate, you know. I was okay. I'm gonna stop. That boy only 22 years old, y'all. Ralph Angel, Kofi, City. Oh, yes. So, in this moment, Ralph Angel gets an exit. And it works flawlessly, beautifully. Okay, fine. Y'all want to beat my ass? Cool. Mr. Earl, the manager, comes like, hey, what's going on here? Everybody bring it up. Everybody go back to work. And Rob pulls him over to the side and tells him, I can't work with him. I can't work with dude. Okay, I need for you to lay me off. You go back to work, Ralph Angel. And he's like, I want you to lay me off. And the man counters, and the manager basically tells him, well, fine, I'll fire you, but your parole officer going to hear about it. And that's when Ralph Angel was like, okay, I'm sure he'll be interested to know about how my check comes up short every week. I mean, I'm pretty sure his math is better than mine, Mr. Earl. And that's when Mr. Earl gets it and he fires Ralph Angel on the spot. Ralph Angel's like, I'm up out of here. And that was probably the best news Ralph Angel had gotten all day until the night falls. And then that's when the popo comes a-knocking with a warrant. This scene had me on edge the entire time. So when the police come, allegedly, the warehouse that he worked at said that all workers' houses were going to be searched. And so Ralph Angel was like, oh shit, you could tell he was about to shit a brick right then and there. And so he grabs Blue, gives him the phone that he probably is stolen merchandise, tells him to go in his room and stay there. Call on Vi, let her know what's going on. The police search the entire house. They don't find anything. Then they say, oh, there's a shed out here. Come on, let's go search the shed. Ralph Angel walks. This had to be the longest walk. It was the Green Mile walk. He opens the shed. They go in. They're looking. They're searching. You hear the tarp being turned over. And then they say, all clear. And you could just see the relief in Ralph Angel's face because he had braced himself for them saying, okay, son, wrap it up. Needless to say, this was a very loving scene. And I believe it was Sora Ava DuVernay that said that that's how this scene was meant to be, is a show of love. When Aunt Vi is standing out there and she says, I heard that somebody was out there looking for something. And they didn't find anything, did they? And she said, I got the call from Blue. And she was like, and they won't ever find anything because it's all at the bottom of the bayou. And that's when Ralph Angel's like, I'm so sorry, Auntie. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. They hug, and I was like, oh, this is so sweet. I love Aunt Vi. Come through, Aunt Vi. I love Aunt Vi. She is, praise God for Aunt Vi. Okay. Finally, here is what we have all been waiting for. It is what I titled The Day of Reckoning. It is what I also titled, I'm Not Gonna Cry, 'Cause You Ain't Worth My Tears. And in the end, a monster, but when a goddess, when we first begun. What have I done? Yeah, what have you done, Davis West, with your low-down, dirty, no-count ass? Okay, anyway. So we open up, they're in the lawyer's office, settlement agreement, non-disclosure is being signed, check is handed over, the meeting is going to go down. And Charlie was like, so is she going to be meeting with the other players, Eddie and Felix? I mean, what's going on? And the lawyer's like, well, I don't know. And if she has, I wouldn't know that either because that's another non-disclosure. Suspect right there. So then Davis, you babe, before we go in there, let's get our strategy together. I don't know what this woman gonna say in there. I don't know what, cause she a hoe and she ain't honest. That's all I'm gonna say. Baby, we get in there and this heifer is landing on thick. And during this scene, I was like, what the hell? 3 years. Oh my God. So she's reading this written statement. My dearest Davis, we have known each other for 3 years. 3 long years. And you always made me feel like I was your girl. I was like, did this heifer say 3 years? Charlie's face was like, the hell? And in my tweet, that's when Cousin Oprah said, the hell yes, okay, LOL, and all of your tweets. Oh my God. Oprah Winfrey responded to my tweet. Okay, I'm gonna stop. Y'all know I love me some Oprah, okay? Cousin Oprah, us Mississippi girls got to stick together. Yeah. She talks about only things that you would have to know being his hoe. Okay? And when you left me to go see about Micah because he had an asthma attack, you gave me some extra cash. And so the girls for Eddie and Felix didn't show up. And they said that you said they could have a go with me. And I knew that you would never say anything like that because in my mind, I've always been your girl. And then they raped me. And then they let everybody else come in and rape me too. I know entiendo. Child. And then she came with receipts, y'all. This heifer had a recording. She said, well, I figured after the accusation came that you would call. And I recorded it. Baby, you would have thought that Davis was a pimp off the street the way he talked to her. He was like, I don't know why you acting like this. You started off with gangbang, so you should have been cool with you. You got paid for it. I pay you to keep your mouth closed. The only time you need to open your mouth is when I'm putting something in it. I pay you to do the things that my wife don't do. And the whole time Charlie is sitting there looking like, oh my God, I want to throw up. I just want to run away. Even everybody in the room, you could feel the uncomfortableness in that room. And to hear that come from Davis, whose image has been polished, is GQ Esquire going on here. And you find out he ain't nothing but somebody off of what's one of them King magazine type dudes, okay? Your husband is living a double life. He like has a multiple personality going on here. Baby, he told, but I was like, okay, this is so damn awkward. And then he was sitting there, he was like, I'm sorry. Charlie was like, I'm sorry. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm truly sorry. Girl, I didn't know. What she wanted to say was, I had no idea this motherfucker was an asshole. Okay. Girl, yes, you were raped. And as far as I'm concerned, you probably should prosecute his dumb ass. Okay. And so she runs out the room. David's like, Charlie, come back. I love you. And she was like, and this is when she said it. She was like, Davis, you are a monster. And you turned me into a monster too. We are done. It is so over. And I was like, bye, Davis, with your nasty ass. The only thing I can say about Davis in his defense is this, is that he was honest about one thing. That particular night, he did not have sex with that woman. But he might as well have, as he was complicit in her rape. I'm sorry. I don't care who you are, what you are. No woman deserves that if she didn't ask to be a participant in a gangbang that essentially was a gang rape. And then you wonder why people don't come forward and say something. And then you're saying, well, they put themselves in that precarious situation. Some people feel like they don't have a choice but to do that type of work. It is what it is. So, lesson learned. Due diligence. Should have been having Davis ass tracked while he was on gay games anyways. That way you would have known he ain't nothing but a daggone pimp. So, next week episode, we will see that Micah and Charlie will now be moving to St. Josephine to start over. It is sad to say that both mother and son have experienced nothing but California heartbreaks. Your father is a disappointment to you. Your husband is a disappointment to you. Your first love as a young man is a disappointment to you. Let's start over in St. Josephine. Hollywood, a strange wife shows up and you see Aunt Vi's face and she's like, Hollywood, sugar? Sweetie, she just said you her husband, wife. What the hell? At some point, I guess Hollywood got, Erica Alexander's character Lynn slapped dog shit out of him, but nothing gonna compare to that Annalise Keaton slap that we saw this past Thursday. Girl, wasn't that some shit? There is a point when we see Aunt Vi say that everything is not as it seems. We also notice that Nova is overheard by Charlie, I guess talking to White Chocolate, whom I guess is threatening to leave his wife and family for her. I was like, oh my God, Harlem Nights, sunshine. Yeah, babe, kids, put your mom on the phone. I ain't never coming home. Bye. Reagan Gomez's character's name is Chantel. Her and Nova apparently hook up. As we know, Nova is sexually fluid. Whichever way the wind blows. It's all about the package. And finally, many on Twitter wanted to know, what's up with Charlie's STD panel? Inquiring minds want to know. Well, that's all I've got. But be sure to like, subscribe, share, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and we will keep it going. This has been Queen Sugar, Season 1, Episode 6, as promised. And we all know why it's as promised. Charlie and Davis delivered on their promise to the sex worker. Good night.